everyone. Welcome to the Voice Mood. I'm your host, Olivia Peck, your local millennial voice teacher. With my coffee today, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things today: mixed voice, your singing goals. Maybe you want to become a better singer. You don't necessarily want to become the next Whitney Houston, but you just want to like your voice. A lot of the time, that's who I encounter in lessons is singer-songwriters, adults who didn't have any formal training. Maybe they were in choir, maybe not. And instrumentalists who want to be able to put a voice to their music and sing with ease. So I'm speaking to you if you have any questions about singing or music, being on stage, any of that stuff. Go ahead and leave me a question in the chat. I will do my best to answer on this Q&A today. And I have, as I said, some good topics to discuss, I think, for the beginning of the year. So I'm super excited to get into them. I totally nerded out on how to create good habits, because singing being a motor skill, it's an automatic thing. When we speak, when we sing, when we scroll on our phone, when we drive a car, these are automatic things. And it's really great to learn more about how we can make those automatic things healthy for singing and speaking too. So, anyways, we'll get into it. We have a comment here. Hello, hello. Hi. Thanks for the advice last time when I do the meow, meow, meow exercise. I tend to go to my head voice a lot, especially since I haven't really accessed my mix. So, this is a great comment, great way to kick off the show with some talk about mixed voice. And if you're confused about mixed voice is a label that a lot of voice teachers use just to distinguish the difference between a chest voice and a head voice. And I have lots of videos on those things. But mixed voice is sort of a combo. It's not a hooty, airy sound. It's not a pushed sort of vibrant chest sound that often tends to sound like you're shouting as you bring your chest voice higher. Mixed voice is a way to get that contemporary pop microphone style without shouting, damaging your voice, and sing higher, but with that belty quality. So an exercise that I use a lot is meow, meow, meow. And I always encourage students to try this. Now, if you feel like when you do the meow, it doesn't get that mixed voice sound, that's okay. And I'll show you the difference. So there's meow, 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 meow. That's more mixy because it's not meow head voice and it's not meow. The thing about the meow is the way that our tongue and jaw and shape of the meow, that diphthong meow, can really facilitate that twang sound, which we need in mixed voice. If, though, you're struggling to find twang with a meow, that gentle twangy sound that we use for belting, there's other exercises. So you can try a nya. Maybe you need to just get it more forward, like nya, more in the nose, nasal resonance first, nasal twang first to help you find that. You can try nya, 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 nya. You can try that. You can try creaking. So the door creak sound also helps with finding a mixed voice. So if I did this before, but you can creak into a note like, I'm on the deep end. I've done that one before, so it came into my head. But creaking, meowing, nyahing, they're all a little different, but they make your voice go into this place where it's resonant, clear, goes easily into a belt sound, but keeps your larynx relaxed without tightening up. A lot of us squeeze or push as we get higher to belt. Now, there are other reasons why your exercises in mixed voice, singing in that meow, 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 isn't clear, isn't belty. It could be because you're singing out of range, too high. You could be having some difficulty with actual like vocal cord closure. So maybe you have swollen vocal folds. You know, you have a little bit of laryngitis. You might be ill. You might have postnasal drip. I don't know. That's something to talk to a doctor about. Usually I can kind of hear stuff like that in a voice lesson, what the deal is. So, anyways, great question. There's lots of different exercises to help find your mix. Meow does not work for everyone. I saw a woman teacher on Instagram, and she was doing the meow differently than me. She was doing mew. So she was saying it was meow, but when she did it, she would actually go meow, 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 which is different. That's a different sound. So you might want to play around with different sounds. And the thing about finding it is let it be ugly, let it be sort of witchy, forward, creaky. Baby cry is another one. Wah! The trick too about mixed voice is another thing. If it's too big of a breath, so if you're going meow, meow, I can't really create that mixy sound with a big breath just because of the way our air is set up with how it vibrates our vocal folds. Taking a more speaky breath, like small breath, might have to let out all the air. Meow, 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 meow. So much clearer than meow, 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 meow. Hear the difference? So that's a big thing that we learned about mixed voice too, is mixed voice is um a belty quality. It's that clear, and it's requires a microphone. This type of singing requires a microphone, so it doesn't need to be super loud. It doesn't necessarily take a huge breath that you're gearing up for to project. That was so much. I'm sorry if that was too much, but I hope it helps. Let me know. And it goes into this question we had from this week. So I'm going to show it to you guys now. And if you have any questions about singing, let me know in the chat. That's what we're doing today, along with me just talking about different singing topics that I think would help you. So here's a question we got from the week. He's a young male learning singing, have a very low range and dark sound. So how can I add sweetness and brightness? Can you make videos? So this goes along with the mixed voice thing as well. So if you feel like your voice is too dark or deep, and you're like a baritone bass voice and you want to have a brighter sound, more of that pop sound that you hear like Bruno Mars, or I was just talking to my bass baritone student the other day about this. First of all, you want to find your key, you want to find your range first, and I have a video on how to do that. Hey Maria. You want to do that first. Find your range. You want to find where that mixy quality is most optimal. So, going back to this questioner, finding mixed voice at Courage Me Please. Yeah, you want to find too where that optimal place is in your range, because mixed voice is kind of hard to find at first if you're doing too high, meow, 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 or too low, meow, 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 meow. It usually lives in this like middle to upper part. That's where it's easiest to access. So that's the other part of it too. If you're a lower voice, finding mixed voice, finding a way to, yes, lower the volume sometimes, lowering the breath inhale. So this goes to the next question. When you say taking a big breath, do you mean inhale or letting out less air? Inhale, the inhale. So when you take a really big breath, and I learned this from Matt Edwards, who's a awesome professor of voice at Shenandoah University. I think it's Shenandoah University or college. Sorry. he talked about this. So when you breathe in a huge breath and fill up your lungs, your diaphragm pulls down these muscles around your larynx, and it pulls apart your vocal folds. So that's why opera singers who are getting that full sound, that ringy, big, projected, and also head voicey quality. It's a oh, that big breath helps to keep the vocal folds sort of apart. With mixed voice, you want the vocal folds more together. Ah, ah, ah. You want it more close together, and that is less air going in. The vocal folds aren't spread quite as spread naturally, and so it's easier to get them to create that clear vibrating sound, which is so that's why the setup is really important. How you're breathing, and yes, how you execute the air too, but more about that air going in. Hey, it's great to see you all. Thanks for chiming in. I'm glad. I love seeing familiar faces, and I love meeting new people too. So thank y'all for coming on in. If you have any questions about singing, let me know. That's what we're talking about today. I'm helping you. I've been a voice teacher for about 10 years now. I love it. It's really fun. I am such a nerd for singing voices in particular. I love listening to people sing, and I love doing voices. I was just talking to a student about this. I've always loved that. It's just I like cartoon voices. I like what you can learn to do with your voice, and you can change a lot of things about your voice. You can change. You can also find, my favorite thing is when I find things that people are doing they don't even realize is a strength. There's this guy who made a business out of like selling golf balls. Have you guys heard this story? Anyways, he talks about how everybody has an unfair advantage with something. Like, maybe my unfair advantage is that I can make my voice sound more Disney princess. So I can use that to my advantage. I can leverage that. Everybody has something that they're naturally good at with singing. Maybe you have the really rich low notes. Maybe you naturally have a darker voice. There's stuff that you're already probably doing with your speaking voice or your regular voice that or a voice teacher can point out, find that you're doing, and we can use it as a springboard. So anyway, getting really excited. I'll go ahead and get into some habit stuff for people who might have stage fright or struggle with performing. And in the meantime, I just want to really quickly let you know that if you need an opportunity to learn and you want to get your feet wet, of course, I do free consultations. So you can go to my website. Link is in my description if you need some guidance. But I also have some classes coming up, which are a little bit lower barrier of entry because they're a little bit more affordable than a one-on-one if you want to kind of meet other people, and it's very low stakes, chill. You do not have to sing in front of people. It's just learning. You can sing on mute, ask your questions, but then I can hear you and talk to you face to face. Anyway, very similar to what we do here, but more in depth. Anyway, so those classes coming up tomorrow, there's going to be an open mic, and then that's going to be on Google Meet. And then we've got a singing basics class, which I really recommend for people who need a breakdown of everything. It's typically the way I design it is similar to my YouTube videos, but interactive. So you can ask questions, you can really put my knowledge to the test. This isn't working for me, that kind of thing. And then Wednesday, February 11th, I'm really excited because it's a group voice class. So it's very similar to a voice lesson, but you're not alone. You can bounce ideas off. You can suggest songs that we go through, and we break down songs like tricky spots and how to go through them. And it's really, really fun. It's just a blast, very low key. And then if you're already a student, you do have access to resources. So you get, if you are any sort of active student in groups or one-on-ones, you get free access to the open mics because I think it's really important for our learning to do that. And then you also, if you're a weekly student, so consistently taking lessons, you get even more perks. Group classes are included as well. So I just needed to let y'all know because that's a new thing this year. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we have a question here. I'm super excited. Hey, Kev. Kev07980. I'm a bit lazy and always play the guitar and sing sitting down with a coffee. It's just easier. Same, brother. People say you should stand up to sing at your best, but watching opera live, they seem okay sitting, laying. Thank you. Yes, it totally depends on your voice, depends on what you're doing, and you can train yourself to support your voice, sing well without standing. So a lot has to do with the type of singing you're doing. And like I just said, being able to train yourself to sing well and sing with a good breath flow, even if you're sitting, laying down. There's even benefits to singing and sitting. So, a benefit to sitting and singing is what we were talking about earlier about mixed voice. If you have the tendency to take really big breaths, sitting automatically encourages you to not take such huge breaths. So if you're singing with your guitar and you're singing more contemporary songs, then yeah, sitting isn't actually a bad move. Now, if you're singing something with a little bit more intensity, long phrases, you're singing something that has more of like a head voice quality, like I was doing this with my dad. It was a Christmas song. A lot of Christmas songs are a little bit more, old fashioned and that sort of crooner voice, which does take more breath. So if you're doing, I'll do it my way. Typically, the way that voice is, you might need to practice that standing first, realize like what kind of support you need or breath control you need, how big of a breath, and then sit down. But if you're doing more, hello there, angel from my nightmare, or like, out there in the fields, I fight for my meals, whatever. I'm sitting down and I was sort of belting that out. So it just depends on what you're doing. Oh my gosh. Have you guys seen that video of Ray? Where the hell's my husband? That girl, lady. When she was recording that, she was recording it sitting down in an Airbnb. She's just sitting there with the microphone, crisscross applesauce. Okay. So it really goes to show that no, you don't always have to be standing. You just want to make sure you're connected to your breath. And sometimes that's easier to feel when you're standing, sometimes sitting. So mix it up. That's the best advice I can give you without working with you like one-on-one right now to see really what you need. But anyway, comment, man, I sing sitting, standing, laying down, meow, 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 meow. Yeah, that's right. I do too. I sing all the time in any position I'm in the car, whatever. You just want to be aware of the fact that you are sitting or standing and think about critically, like, how is this affecting my singing? And try it both ways just so you're aware. That's the most important thing. Great comments and questions. I'm loving this. If anybody has any other questions, let me know. I do have some topics I wanted to share with you today. I always like to pepper in some tips and tricks. So, first of all, has anybody seen this video? I know this is so weird for me to talk about in a singing like podcast thing, Q&A, but this video, I know the cover is sort of clickbaity, right? Like lie detector, but the tips about managing anxiety is really great. And the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of singing is very vulnerable. And the biggest hurdle I have to overcome with my students and with myself is just having the confidence to put yourself out there. I mean, a lot of singing is just having confidence. And I really like this podcast because there's some really good tips for singers, weirdly. So, if you like have performance anxiety, or if I have a lot of like small business owners in my studio, like a lot of my students might benefit from this too, because if you're not a big businessy person or salesy person, it's also interesting. But anyways, um, fun fact: speed or fear speeds the body up. So this is going along with if you are performing and you're nervous or something, slowing down. Make your movement slower. Make your breathing slower. It really helps if you're feeling anxious or nervous. And it also communicates to the audience that you're calm, cool, and collected when you can really slow down, which is interesting because a lot of videos are like at 10 times speed now to get your attention. So that's kind of funny, isn't it? But really slowing down helps with all kinds of things. I don't know why I did a thumbs down. It's just my camera. Okay, so here's a good comment. Hi, I am really, really like bad at singing. Hello, Haley. Well, I'm glad you're here and have no fear. There are things you can do to learn about singing right on YouTube. The thing is, we all have different baselines. So, finding out what is your vocal range? What do you like to sing? What's your highest and lowest note? What's comfortable for you right now? And picking a good beginner song. I have tons of playlists for whatever your voice type might be. And yeah, start small is the best advice I can give you. And another thing too is just just sing when you're getting started. Like just sing a lot. I find that my students who sing a lot in open mics or they do really regular lessons, like they're really committed, they grow the most and the fastest. And everybody's different, but just sing and then start to get into the technique, And if you're like, "Oh, is this going to hurt my voice if I do this, that, and the other thing?" Try to focus more on how does your body feel, If you sing and it's starting to hurt, just stop, take it easy. Sing with less intensity, less volume. Go see a doctor if you have a super raspy voice or something, or have a lot of pain even when you're speaking. Like listen to your body, but the most important thing is just experience, practice. Even if you're not doing the most perfect practice in the world, any practice is better than none. So good luck. Come and see us. Let us know how it's going. I loved our consult. I'm excited for our next session. I have such bad stage fright. This is so helpful. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, there's so many things you can do for stage fright. I'll go back to this dude who was talking to. Okay, so some other things too. This making yourself bigger might be a fake it till you make it type thing. So a lot of us, when we have attention on us or in certain social situations, might collapse, or in certain conversations we might make ourselves smaller. And I was talking about this with a student yesterday, and she told me, this was so smart. If you're listening, I'll call her Catherine. This was so smart. She said, I have to pretend to just be more dramatic. Like, even just holding her mouth open, instead of, she had to think like, be dramatic, like, keep it open, And that thought of like be big, be bigger than you normally are, even if it feels weird, is very helpful for singing because a lot of what we do feels weird. Opening your mouth more. Um like listen to the difference if I'm singing Jingle Bell Rock with my mouth basically not open. Jingle bell rock. That's very hard. Jingle bell rock. Okay, open your mouth. Open your mouth. It feels weird at first, and you might have to fake it till you make it, but be dramatic, like she said. Okay, I don't know what Pense que era Taylor is, but I think what I don't know, help me. I don't know. Espanol? Very bueno. So help me out. Okay, so but I'm gonna try to figure it out now. Anyways, so you might have to think big, and that's okay, and that's a very good tactic. So anyway, fake it till you make it actually does have some merit to it. Right? And then thanks, Maria. I thought it was Taylor. Thanks. That's why I trimmed my bangs because I was going to try to do like some Taylor Swift parties or something. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding. I have the costume. So if anybody's interested, let me know. I'll put something together. Okay. I used to do princess parties when I was in my early 20s. And anyway, that is so random. Let's focus, Olivia. All right. So this is such a good one. I love this tip, y'all. Hear me out. He says, make a poster board of intrusive thoughts like, I don't deserve money. Okay. So here, stick with me here. So we often have these intrusive thoughts when we're nervous or feel like we're, what's it called? Just a fraud, or I forget what that's called. Imposter syndrome. We have these intrusive thoughts, and sometimes it helps to realize how ridiculous they are. So I, in my old apartment, would lay in bed and think, oh my gosh, what if somebody breaks in and I wouldn't be able to sleep? Okay. But I had heard somewhere that this similar thing, like really make your thoughts ridiculous, say them out loud, or like sort of say it, and then you'll realize how ridiculous it is. So I would say to myself, yeah, I hope somebody is in here. I hope somebody breaks in or something like that. It was ridiculous. It was way extreme. Obviously, I don't hope that. I don't. But I would say that to realize that's not going to happen. Like I have safety measures for that. That's not going to happen. It made me feel way better, and it instantly dissipated my fear. So sometimes you can do that. Like if you're about to go on stage and you're like, oh my God, what if I do so bad? You can say to yourself, yep, I'm going to do horrible. And it'll make you laugh. It might like make you laugh. Like, yeah, maybe I will just pass out immediately when I get out there. And if it's really extreme, it will kind of pull you out of the spiral. It can work. It works with some ADD or OCD. I've heard it used. And I'm not a therapist or a psychiatrist, but it can help. I use it, so it might help. So, okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, I forgot I had this banner that says book a lesson up here and I need to take it off. Okay, so everything that goes on in our lives has to do with our mammalian brain. So, yeah, that's important too. A lot of these thoughts we have and actions we do throughout our lives, like the way you sing, if this is not my last night with you. A lot of the things I just did are just automatic. I've done it so many times. I'm not thinking really about it that much. So it's part of our brain that is mammalian, and I like how he says doesn't speak English. So a lot of the things that we have to train ourselves to do, you need to think about like how you're gonna how would you explain this to a dog, with pictures and physically doing things. What were some of the things he said to like get you to train the motor skills, like the mammalian part of your brain would be I took notes because I'm just a total nerd. I just thought it was so helpful. Yeah, so like affirmations won't necessarily get you to change a habit, but making a picture of you when you're 95 years old and hanging it up around and thinking about that future self, like what would you want to do for that future self, can sort of penetrate that and change, kind of rattle you out of habits and do things differently. I don't know if that made sense. He explains it better. Okay, so here's a good question. La la la. Chris5594 asks, what's your recommendation for an old guy that's been dormant for 35 years? Where did my range go? Well, this is a great question, Chris. And without hearing you or knowing what your lifestyle is like, I can't know for sure. And I'm not a doctor either. But I've had students who, as they age, their voice changes in a number of different ways. So sometimes your upper register gets smaller just with age. And sometimes your lower register can get bigger or smaller. Sometimes your breath support is just not the same because of the way that our bones change over time and our muscles. So where does it go? I'm not sure, but our voice does change as we get older because our body changes. And actually, on my website, I have a whole list of changes that happen to our body and how it affects our voice. So I'm going to go to oliviapeck.com and go to lifelong singing. And there's a whole bunch of things that happen in our body that change as we age. Our muscles around our vocal folds are not quite as strong too. So there's a lot of different things that affect it. The good news is there are different things you can do to rehabilitate your voice and to get yourself singing again. So with the help of a speech pathologist, doctor, or just taking voice lessons too can help that. So a great exercise is doing the creak. If you can do a creaky door sound, it helps bring your vocal folds together, those muscles around your vocal folds, without using too many muscles and tensing up. So that's a good one. Doing different breath sustaining exercises like hissing or SOVT exercises. I got my water bottle back there, but blowing bubbles in water, that really helps. So there's different things you can do to bring your voice back. Let's bring it back to life, Chris. Come on. So there's different things you can do to bring your voice back. If you haven't sung for a long time, it's a muscle thing. It is actually a muscle thing. Okay, really good question. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about with this thing that I watched. Discipline becomes a habit and then it doesn't feel like discipline anymore. So if you struggle with practicing, if you struggle with, making lifestyle choices that are healthy for your voice or for you, the good news is a lot of the stuff we do, like drinking water, washing your face before you go to bed, brushing your teeth, you don't think about that as, oh, discipline. Oh, I brushed my teeth. You think about that as an automatic thing that you do. And that's why, really successful people, seems out of reach or something to become a great singer. But if you get in the habit of practicing every day, it feels a little less like cumbersome and just more automatic. Same with performing. So if you feel like you are like fish out of water with performing, the more you get into it and do it, the easier it gets. I promise. I promise. So that's why I started doing these open mic nights with my students, because we got to do it. We got to actually do it. And I saw so much improvement with my students who were going and doing that, who were singing on their own and around town and in bands or at open mics, whatever, I saw so much improvement that I was like, I have to incorporate this in my voice studio and what I do as a voice teacher because it's just getting out there, doing it, performing, it's so integral to your improvement. It's what it's what we want to do, right? Is perform or sing a whole song through and in front of someone or a camera, So we got to practice that. And that's part of it. So this kind of goes into another little nugget. So these are my parents. And my mom has this podcast called Boomer North, and she had my dad on it. My dad is a fitness trainer. They're both very fit people, and I really love them a lot. I look up to them a lot. I've learned a lot from my dad as a trainer because I have a similar work situation as him. I train people too, but with their voice. And my dad brought up a really good point. It's if you want to create a good fitness habit or whatever type of habit to create less obstacles for yourself. So pack that gym bag the night before. Okay. Get your practice set up, like get your singing journal, maybe get your straw and water that you're going to use for your SOVT exercises. Get that YouTube video, warm-up video of mine that you might like and click it on your computer. I have a student who drives around with a warm-up playlist in her car. So do things so it makes it easy for you to get singing. Sign up for, I'm not trying to push my class, but sign up for a class, okay? Sign up for my class, some other teacher's class. Once you put a little money down, you're like, I'm going to do this, okay? That's why the open mic class is $10 for drop-ins, because if you put just $10 towards it, that's a burrito and then some. So it commits you, and then you're going to get out there, you're going to do it. So this book, Atomic Habits, talks about that, like making a lower barrier of entry to your habits. And I really like it. I took the dust cover off. I kind of like the clean look. All right. So those are my parents, and they give great advice. But there's another little nugget I will tell you about. But I have a question. Encourage me, please. When I sing harder songs, I think I'm doing everything right. I don't push anything, but my voice still feels a bit tired, raspy after. I just want to know if I'm injuring my voice. Great question. Based on your other question about feeling like you flip into head voice with the meows or you can't make them in that clear voice, maybe if your voice is easily tired and you just know something is up, the best recommendation is to go to an ear, nose, throat doctor and get scoped. Okay? Get scoped. You might have, and I don't know, but there's different things that affect our voices. Hormones, our cycle, which they wouldn't necessarily be able to tell that, but maybe. Acid reflux affects your voice and can very much affect it. If you have some sort of scarring, vocal like nodules or a polyp, there's so many things. Miley Cyrus has a very raspy voice, and she was born with a bump on one of her vocal cords. So we're all different. And getting scoped is good. Sometimes it doesn't take that much to really change your voice. I mean, it's a very, very small muscle. So get scoped. Or if you can't do that, just have that in mind. You might have something going on. So approaching your voice from maybe as if you had MTD, which is a condition, just approaching it like you have to be gentler with your voice for whatever reason, that's a good place to start. Try going on vocal rest, see if that does anything, that type of thing. Are you hydrated? Your vocal folds need to be hydrated. So are you drinking water? Are you on any medications? Really looking at like your life. Allergies, post-nasal drip can all affect your voice. So those are all good things to think about, and I hope it helps. Let me know. Okay, here's a question. I missed this one. What is your recommendation for remembering lyrics? LOL. I've just listened to the song on repeat nonstop and singing the lyrics, but I don't know that I can remember the lyrics. I feel you. So there's a couple of things you can do. The first one would be print them out or write them out, even better. Write them out. My boyfriend will write because he's an actor too. He'll write out his lines with his left hand. He's right-handed with red ink because apparently that helps him. So you can do that. You can just print it out or write it out and then like cover up the words like this and see if you can guess the next line. Chances are the parts that you're forgetting is during some sort of transition or it's the same parts over and over again. It's like, oh, I forgot the same part again. So if you can go like zero in on those transition spots or the part you keep forgetting and go, how am I going to remember this? Okay, the last word is more, and then the next one is fun. So more fun. I'll just think of a clown every time I get to that verse. The more ridiculous the way to remember it, the more you'll remember it. A visual really helps. So sometimes with my scripts, it's harder for me to memorize dialogue. I'll draw little pictures above the lines if I'm really having a hard time remembering. And each line can be like a story unto itself. Once you memorize it, once you are able to remember it, you're able to add meaning to it. But until you have it memorized, it can feel like you, are stuck in trying to remember words. So I totally get it. Another thing you can do is write the first letter of every word. If you have a hard time remembering a whole chunk, just write out the first letter of every word and see if you can do it that way and wean yourself off of the words. It's crazy. It actually works. I use that quite a bit as well. So good luck. All right. So there's one other thing that I wanted to share that my dad had said that I thought was very interesting. He said, most people at the gym are healthy people. Thinking about New Year's resolutions and thinking about people who take voice lessons, people who get a personal trainer, people who take acting lessons or whatever, invest in their craft or their hobbies, their interests. A lot of the time, the people who want to become better singers and who take lessons or go to the gym are already doing healthy things. They're already doing musical things. They're already musical people. But I don't want to make it seem like you have to be a musician to start voice lessons. And when he said that, I realized, oh my gosh, there are mostly healthy people at the gym. That's why I don't go. Because I'm so embarrassed. I mean, I'll go sometimes. I'll put my headphones in. I'm like, nobody look at me. Like, I'll go. I am that person who's in the gym that looks confused. And I can imagine people who jump into voice lessons, there is that barrier sometimes of like, but I'm not a musician or I don't know how to read music. That's okay. That's what I'm here for, is to help you get to a place where you're like more confident. And so you can confidently say, yes, I'm taking voice lessons. I'm a singer. Yeah, let's get you out of that slump. So I just felt like that was so relatable. Anywho, a lot of stuff today. This is really fun. I've got to, let me see when my next lesson is shortly. So I'm going to jump off. Hopefully I'll have time to do the timestamps, but this was really fun. Thank you for your lovely questions. If you'd like to book a lesson with me, you know how to find me, oliviapeck.com. And I'll do the little banner at the end here so you remember. But I'm excited to meet you. I'm excited you're here. If you have any more questions and you missed this stream, you can leave a comment on any of my videos and I'll address them on the next stream. I am a little more sporadic these days because my voice studio is fuller. So if I'm doing a live, you're going to want to subscribe, join the Facebook group to know when I'm going live so you don't miss it, because it's a little less of a schedule these days. Really quick question. Weird question, but in your lessons, you have to be on camera in teams. Don't mind being out live in front of people, but hate being in photos in teams type of thing. That is a thing. Yeah. So in the group classes, you don't necessarily have to be on camera. You can turn your camera off. Um, and with the voice lessons, you also, yeah, you could do just voice. It helps for me to see, your posture and your facial expressions and your mouth and all that. Like that helps me coach you, but you don't have to. It's not a requirement for you to. So don't worry about that. Also, I have voice lessons or voice memo submissions on my website for anyone who's interested. It's a little bit more, you send a clip of you singing and then I give you feedback. That's on my website as well. So I know a lot of people do not like Zooms or FaceTime. Like, again, my boyfriend, he hates like being he's an actor, but he does not like being like in a FaceTime or a group like thing. But there's ways like you can also make your image much smaller. I don't record it. I'll tell you if like I'm going to record something, but that's a choice on your part. So, anyways, good question. Maria asks, talking about it, do you have any tips on how to hit the do re mi? So, I would do it with a track first to get in the habit of hearing those intervals. So do re, doing it with a track to learn that scale, and then taking out the track you're singing along with over time and see if you can sing it in tune and accurately without singing with the backing track. So I hope that helps, Maria. Y'all let me know if you have any other comment or questions in the comments after I end this stream, and I'll answer them next time. This was so fun. I've got to jump on a lesson, but I've really enjoyed hanging out with y'all, talking about singing stuff, and I hope to hear from you. Have a good one. Bye.